Professional cooks need to have a basic understanding of chemistry as it applies to food. Cooks must consider how to manipulate food into tasting its best.
All aspects of cooking have some sort of chemistry related to it. For example, there is a reason behind why certain materials are used in certain kitchen utensils.
In this cooking segment, we are going to reveal the chemistry behind baking chocolate chip cookies.
All the ingredients within the recipe act as the reactants of the reaction. The batch of cookies are a result of the reaction, so it acts as the product. In chemical equations, moles are used as a coefficient to the different substances that are being combined. With baking cookies, the amount of ingredient needed for one batch can represent 1 mole. For example, if there are 3 moles of eggs, there will be a total of 6 eggs. Moles are helpful in keeping the ratio of reactants to products constant.
Before you begin cooking, it is essential to look over the recipe. Just by observing the ingredients, you can find the limiting and excess reactants in the given recipe. The limiting reactant determines the amount of product that can be made, as it runs out before the other ingredients. The excess reactant has a leftover amount that has no more of the limiting reactant to react.
It is very easy to find the limiting and excessive reactants within a recipe. From the recipe, we found the limiting and excess reactants of the eggs and salt. There are 2 eggs and 1 teaspoon of salt needed for 1 batch of cookies. With 3 eggs and 1 teaspoon of salt, you are able to make 1 batch of cookies, with a remainder of 1 egg. With 17 eggs and 4 teaspoons of salt, you are able to make 4 batches, with a remainder of 9 eggs. With 8 eggs and 3 teaspoons of salt, you are able to make 3 batches of cookies. As you can see, there is always leftover eggs. This means that the eggs are the excess reactants and the salt is what limits the amount of batches. So it would be the limiting reactant.
First, mix all the ingredients together.
So now we're going to make the cookie dough ball. So you just grab a nice handful of it. Ball your hand, just roll them together so it's a nice little compact ball. Just stick them on the sheet.
Different materials are used for different reasons. Metal trays are commonly used because they are highly conductive. This means that they are good at transferring heat. Rubber spatulas are good to use because they are flexible. This makes it easier in scraping the excess cookie dough out of the bowl and cleaning the blades of the mixer. We use an electric mixer because it can mix the ingredients together more thoroughly and efficiently.
The cookies are being heated by a mix of conduction and radiation. Conduction is the movement of heat through matter. The oven heats up the metal baking tray, which then heats up the cookies. Also, the heat is radiated onto the top of the cookies. When the cookies are being baked in the oven, the reaction is exothermic. Once the cookies are removed and cooled off, the reaction becomes endothermic. Here's a diagram showing how the cookies are being heated. Variables that are required to find the amount of energy in a given reaction includes the mass, specific heat, and change in the temperature of the object. The baking tray weighs about 360 grams. All elements have a specific heat. Specific heat is the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of the unit mass of a given substance by 1 degree. Aluminum's specific heat is 0.9 joules per grams degrees Celsius. And lastly, the change was temperature from 21 degrees Celsius to 190 degrees Celsius, which is a difference of 169 degrees. By multiplying the 3 variables together, we found that the energy of the reaction was 54,756 joules.
Mixing the ingredients together makes up a physical change. The chemical reaction occurs in the oven. Because heat energy causes the ingredients to chemically bond.
Have you ever tried eating cookie dough? I'm sure you've heard of the severe consequences. Many Americans suffer for symptoms of salmonella each and every year. Salmonella is a treacherous bacteria that are contained in eggs. The cookie needs extreme heating to kill off any existing salmonella. Salmonella cannot withstand any heat above 136 degrees Fahrenheit. Think twice before indulging in cookie dough.
Looks like the cookies are done. Have you ever thought about how cookies take the form? When the cookie dough reaches 92 degrees Fahrenheit, the butter within the cookie dough begins to melt as it is heated up in the oven. Then the cookies start to lose its structure and flatten out. The diameter of the cookie is determined by how long it takes to stay in the oven. After the cookie heats up to around 212 degrees Fahrenheit, the water within the cookie dough starts to steam. The pressure of the water vapor causes the cookie to rise. Later on, the baking soda starts to break down into carbon dioxide, which raises the cookie even more, while creating holes within the cookies. As moisture evaporates from the cookie, it begins to dry out and take form.
The percent yield is a comparison of the actual amount compared to the theoretical or calculated amount. We divided the actual yield by the theoretical yield and came up with a percent yield of about 108.33%.
It specified that one batch would make around 5 dozen cookies. In chemistry terms, 5 dozen would represent the theoretical yield. After we prepared all of the cookies, we found that the total number of cookies we made came to 65 cookies. Here is just one of the trays of the cookies we made.
These are the steps of making chocolate chip cookies along with its chemistry background.
We showed you the ingredients, the consequences of eating cookie dough, recommended cooking utensils, and how the reaction of cookies takes place in the oven.
A simple task of baking cookies can include a lot of chemistry. We hope you enjoyed our cooking segment.
It says we should.
We showed you.
Oh, we showed.
These are the steps of making chocolate chip cookies along with its chemistry background.
We showed you the ingredients, the consequences of eating cookie dough, recommended cooking utensils.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
These are the steps of making chocolate chip cookies along with its chemistry.
Are you kidding me? Of course.